feel good because there's a guy out there older than me.
Yes.
Any Hunter Renfro's running around out there?
No, I didn't see any today, but you never know. You never know. Appreciate those guys coming out, and you know, we always, even when we don't have a spot, we have a walk-on day. Try to build a library inventory. You know, 'cause sometimes you have spots come open. You like to have a good evaluation of guys on file. So it's always something we do once in the spring, once in fall camp.
Now that you've had a chance to go back and look at the film from the first scrimmage, you know, everything that's gone on since then, is there any separation in any of these position battles?
Well, we hadn't really had a scrimmage yet. That was a half scrimmage that was all controlled, so situational. What I mean by that is you know, you're not really, you just, okay, it was first down, plus or minus 4, and you know, it gets a certain amount of plays in that, make sure we get that situation. Then we go back and we say, okay, it's first down, play second down. Then it's second down, play third down. So we kind of created the situations. So it was a controlled type of a scrimmage situation. Whereas Wednesday is, you know, we've covered everything. We got into some goal line today, some red zone, green zone, and so you know, I feel good about letting them go play. I think we've got enough in. Probably got about 80%, 80+% of the offense in, and the guys have done a good job. I mean, they're competing, a lot of competition every day. It's fun to come to practice because you know, they're all battling. But Wednesday's a big day for a lot of these guys.
Coach Scott told us the other day there was the situational scrimmage was a little sloppy on the offensive side. Have you seen better play out of the offense the last couple of days?
Yeah, I mean, they were okay. They did fine. I mean, you know, just like I said, just putting them in. Sometimes the situations don't match up. The calls don't match up perfectly when you're installing on this side and installing on that side. It's not like you're game planning. So, you know, but there were some good and bad on both sides. You know, I think when you watch the tape, I mean, there was a lot of good, and repping 3 groups and mixing and matching all kind of different guys. So I think that I think we're right on schedule. I really like, first of all, the way the schedule has set up this year from a calendar standpoint. You know, we got an extra week before spring break that we really haven't had in the past. So we're going to have 8 practices under our belt after Wednesday, and a really good foundation. And then we've spent this whole first half installing, really going back, reteaching a lot of things, the fundamentals and techniques of what we do, you know, studying ourselves from last year, transferring that knowledge to the players. But we hadn't played a lot, so now it's time. The second half, we have the scrimmage. When we come back second half, there'll be more evaluation, more foundation this first half, and we'll come back and more evaluation. Whereas in the past, you know, we've had 3 practices, 4 practices, 5 practices, and then we've kind of shut it down for break, and then you come back. So I think we've gotten a lot done, and I'm anxious to see them when they come back. We've got a few guys banged up that missed today, probably gonna miss Wednesday as well. But we should get everybody back and rolling for the last part of it.
You told us last Monday that they didn't have to run any accountability runs after practice. Have you seen that same kind of focus?
They've been great. They've been great. Had a couple locker issues. You know, I'm kind of holding their feet to the fire on this locker room. You know, because we got a great facility and we'll take care of it. But there's just a certain way we want things. But they've done a great job. We really have not had any issues with these guys. I mean, they've been a locked-in group, and you know, the leadership, the chemistry's starting to emerge a little bit. Seeing some guys kind of take a step forward, kind of come out of their comfort, their demeanor from last year, if you will, and you know, kind of changing that. Some of those freshmen that are now sophomores and asserting themselves a little bit differently, and even some of those sophomores that are juniors. So it's been good.
Who are some of the guys that are maybe starting to assert themselves as leaders, the vocal guys out there?
You know, I offensively, we don't have a ton of vocal guys. You know, Mitch Hyatt's never going to be a vocal guy, but I think he's a great leader. I think Fauci's done a great job at center. You know, he's the guy that has to direct everything up front, and I think he's really done a nice job. So I'm pleased with him. I think a young guy like Sean Pollard, and I think Tremaine Ankrum has been outstanding. I mean, he's really done a nice job. So I mean, it's just kind of across the board. I wouldn't say there's really one guy, but I think they're all, you know, kind of carrying the load right now. Adam Choice has been a guy that I think he's one of those guys that is kind of, we were just wanting to see him take a step forward, and he just seems confident. He just seems like he just looks like a veteran. And I think he asserted himself a little bit more. Mylan's the same way, and he and Garrett. I think that Kelly has been very, very impressive through 7 practices. He has had a good command out there in all situations. Anxious to see him on Wednesday. But you know, more of the vocal guys are over on defense, which is not surprising. Guys like Christian and Cleveland. Cleveland was a freshman last year, but you'd think he's a senior. I mean, he's a guy that's really leading. I hear him all the time, and so that's been good to see. I don't ever hear Dex, but I see him all the time, so he's leading too.
You mentioned a moment ago about maybe addressing the demeanor a little bit. First, maybe see some specific players. Is that in terms of refining that? I know it's happened this year, but what happened last year is last year, and this needs to be a...
No. We're talking about more just the locker room. You know, I mean, we just don't want anything. We want the lockers to look a certain way. You know, the biggest thing from when I meant by demeanor, I was talking about, you know, guys, you know, certain guys like a Skowski, for example, who's just the freshman, just happy to be there, happy to be on the bus, and how his whole demeanor is different. Totally different. Shaq Smith, just guys that are kind of coming out of their shell a little bit. You know, Chad Smith. You know, you can see the leadership of JD. Guys been around Judah, same thing. I mean, Dorian O'Daniel this time last year was trying to earn a spot and kind of prove that he could go do it. He's in a different spot right now. So a lot of those guys, that's really what I meant by that. Their demeanor's different. And that's good to see, because we need a bunch of those guys to step up. Van Smith, you know, last year he was the pup, and you know, is he going to go do it? Now he's played a lot of ball, and he's kind of having the lead back there. Trayvon Mullins, another one, just kind of, you know, trying to figure this thing out, and now he's just asserting himself as a bona fide guy. So there's a lot of those guys that I'm excited about, because I mean, if you look at our roster, I mean, we're a junior sophomore team. That's where our scholarships are, and a lot of those guys have played, and some of them are going to play bigger roles than they have before. And it's been good to see that. Albert Huggins is another one. He's another guy that just kind of, I think's been just kind of happy to be here. Got all the talent in the world, but he's asserting himself much more consistently than he has in the past. And that's exciting to see.
Does that help you maybe see the potential of this defense a little earlier then?
I think we're going to be good on defense. I thought that before we ever took the first snap of spring ball, because I think we've recruited well. You know, I think we got good people out there. Watching them, you know, we were just on the field on January 9th, so I've seen a lot of practice from last August to January. So I think we had a good feel for our personnel and how far along they were, and then all the JV work that we got all through December and the first part of January. I thought we did a good job of bringing a lot of those young guys to a little bit further level. So I thought we just started off in a better spot. But we're going to be just fine. I think we'll be good up front. You know, we got some young guys that are going to have to help us a little bit from a depth standpoint. But I think our back seven, our linebackers, and our secondary is going to be as good as we've been.
Does it feel kind of strange not hearing drop off from the media as much this year?
Oh, y'all asked me that at some point. That's coming. That's coming later. You know, we just, you know, I don't know. I think that we've earned some credibility there, and that because I think the first thing everybody does every year when you evaluate a roster or a team is, well, who left, who's gone. That's kind of where it starts. And when you lose some of the players that we've lost, I mean, it's just kind of human nature to say. And you got guys that really hadn't played much. From y'all's side of things, it's not like you watch a practice all day every day, and so we just see a different side of things. And so y'all, it's just kind of human nature to say, well, boy, you lose this guy, who's going to step up and replace him? But for us, you know, and the amount of time we spend recruiting and evaluating, and then what we see in practice and in meetings and all that stuff every day, it's easier for us to, I think, have a little more confidence in maybe a guy that y'all haven't seen as much. Just so, and I think maybe y'all are just gotten a little bit more used to the fact that, hey, we're going to have somebody ready to plug in there. But we'll see. Hopefully that'll be the case. But I think that, you know, we lost one linebacker, and we got a bunch of guys that got some experience last year that are ready to step in. You know, we lost, you know, a couple good DBs, but, man, we had some good young guys and a couple more coming in that I think are going to be ready to play. So I think we're going to have very good depth. That was the big thing last year I talked about all year, was the competitive depth. That was, we were much better last year than we were the year before because we just didn't have competition. We had a good first group, but I think this team is even more so. I think we're going to have really good competition and a lot of guys that are functionally able to go play and be reliable players for us. And when you got that, you know, that's a real positive for you, especially when you're hoping to play a lot of ball games, more than just 12.
What's different about Nyland? You brought him up so Jeff.
Jordan's gone. I think sometimes guys just, you know, it's addition by subtraction. I think that's the case a lot of times. You know, with some of these guys, sometimes it's just like Kelly. I mean, he don't even look like the same guy right now.